we'll try not to make this about the kickoff awards every week, but
No, we can.
look, why have you all felt so comfortable in kind of trusting your coverage units and kicking off and forcing a return rather than kind of what we're seeing some teams just kick through the end zone?
Yeah, listen, I think it comes down to a bunch of reasons, actually. I think number one, it comes to, I think I mentioned it last week, I think just the buy-in from the players, and then it comes down to scheme, then it comes down to analytics, then it comes down to all those things. So, we kind of felt, if we feel strongly that we can keep our opponent inside the 30-yard line, then, situationally, that's a win for us, and so, as you guys know, in all these games, every yard makes a difference. Every single yard makes a difference. Right down to the last field goal last week or the week before, the plays at the end of the game. So, as you go through the game, the field position battle becomes, a premium. And so, I feel comfortable with the players. I feel comfortable with the scheme. Does that mean every single time we're going to put the ball in play? No, we're going to be smart. We're going to be situationally smart. But I have confidence that when we do put the ball in play and our guys are going down there and cover, and we haven't been perfect by no means, but we've been pretty good.
Have you seen that play at the y'all's advantage this year?
One more time.
Have you seen that play at the y'all's advantage this year, just in terms of?
I mean, so far, yeah, so far. So I mean, through the first 4 games, if you look at our opponent's drive start, we're doing pretty good in that area. The one return we gave up was after the penalty in the Dallas game, where Turpin had a pretty good return against us, where we kicked the ball off from the 20-yard line. And so that made it a little bit more difficult, obviously, for Blake. And we gave up contain on that play. But, for the rest of them, for the, majority of them, we've done a pretty good job of them. And I do think it's an advantage. But you got to make it. It's not just an advantage because we say it's an advantage on paper. You have to go out and execute and all those things. And that's credit to the players. The players have done like I said, they bought in and they've done a great job executing it. So, through 4 weeks, if you look at it analytically, and again, it's only a small sample, but, right now I think the league is averaging the 27-yard line after returns, and it's like the 29 point something if you include all the kickoffs. And so, we'll keep our eye on that, and we're kind of breaking it down week to week and watching all the plays. Last night, if you watched any of that game last night, they gave up some field position, but there's a bunch of missed tackles. So you still have to execute it. It's not like just because you're going to get the ball down there and put it in play doesn't mean you're going to necessarily keep them inside the 30. So you still got to go out, you still got to make tackles.
What's kind of the coaching point for Shaheed on that? Just don't do that?
Yeah, listen, I think I said this to the players. It's easy to get upset, at a guy that fumbles the ball. From a decision-making standpoint, we have our rules down there inside the 10-yard line. Listen, I've seen that happen before, Nick. What happens is you get to that point where he made a decision. He was going to field the ball, and he kind of got to that point of no return, if you will, and then he obviously got contorted his body and all that. Should have let the ball go. I mean, she would be the first one to tell you that in that situation, we don't want to field that ball. We want to let that ball go. But he started to drift. The ball started to drift. He misjudged the ball. It was a little bit of a perfect storm. And so he's done a really good job with that in his career. I haven't been around a good returner that hasn't put the ball on the ground once or twice. It's going to happen, unfortunately. But with that said, we got to, we can't make that we can't make that mistake. So it was obviously a crucial and a critical deal. And but again. That's really what happened. He drifted. He kind of lost where he was on the field. He didn't realize that he drifted that far. So, seen it happen before. There was actually, ironically enough, last week, as we watched the plays of the week from around the league, there was a number of punt returns on the ground last week. It was an odd number. There was a couple in the Eagles Tampa game. There was one in the Minnesota game. There was a bunch of them. And so. But listen, the number one thing for us in the return game is ball security. At the end of the day, we either got to be kicking an extra point or the offense has to run the next play. That's got to be the two, results that are acceptable. So can't put the ball on the ground there.
I'm just asking this because I know stuff about have you seen anything on the injury numbers in the room?
Okay, so I haven't seen anything on paper. I can tell you this. So far through 4 weeks, it sounds like, from talking to the powers to be, that the injury numbers are pretty good in terms of favorable for the injury rates. Listen, it doesn't matter what format you have. There's going to be some injuries. It's going to be important for us to keep the injury rates down. But right now, through 4 weeks, the numbers are favorable. for the overall safety of the play. I think and really just watching the play, I believe in my heart that we've made it a lot safer. The play speeds, that's really the big thing. When we went through this process for the last 3 or 4 years, that's really the design of the play, was to bring the play speeds down. And obviously you guys know these guys wear the tracking devices and all that. The play speeds are way, way down. Obviously all those numbers will come out officially. But the play speeds are way down, which naturally is going to bring the injury rates down. And so that's been a check mark in the good column so far. Listen, at the end of the day, we want to get more returns and we want to make the play safer. I think we've done that so far. Where those numbers are going to be at the end of the season, we'll check it out. But so far, we're heading in the right direction.
Getting back to the punt return, do y'all have a hard and fast rule, do not field inside 10, or is there some latitude?
There's a little bit of latitude when it depends on less where the ball's being kicked from. So, for example, if they're punting the ball from over the 50-yard line, you're not going to field the ball inside. But if let's just say they're on the -30 and their punter hits an absolute bomb and we go back and there's plenty of time, there's plenty of space, there's plenty of room. So it's not a hard, but if the punt team's alignment or their line of scrimmage puts me at my maximum of where I'm going to be, that's when we don't want to field the ball. But like, for example, say I line up on the 20 and I get hit one over my head, at that point the rules are going to be a little bit different. So it really depends on where they're punting the ball from situationally. It also depends on what our call is. Sometimes, as you guys know, sometimes we double the gunner, sometimes we don't, sometimes we single them. So the play call actually kind of plays into the fielding rules as well. So it's a little bit of a situational thing, I guess is the best way to say it.
Is it a bit of a luxury to just be able to develop Charlie on the practice squad while you might have a kicker who's playing well?
Listen, I do. I think, I think you guys know, I think the world of Charlie and I think the world of his talent. I think this process for him has been really, really phenomenal because, again, you're talking about a guy going through it for the first time. He's never been through a football season before. So, think about that, right? He's never had to watch a guy prepare for a game. He's never been through a game week. He's never been through a pregame. And so for him just to even watch the whole process and learn from Blake, learn what you do on your off days. What do you do on your days that you're kicking? We have a kicking schedule, kind of like a pitcher, if you will, like the days you're up, the days you're off. And so, all right, what do we do on our recovery day? What's my lifting schedule? Things you would never think about, right? He's never had to go through that. Never been in high school, never been in college. So this learning experience for him is just as important, in my estimation, my opinion, as it is the physical part of it. He has all the physical tools. Now just kind of refining his, getting more consistent with that, and then just watching this whole process play out. I think I used Brandon Aubrey as a guy for you guys. It's really a pretty good comparison because Brandon Aubrey played soccer in college, wasn't a football player, and he didn't start kicking until after college, and he went kind of through that same process. Now he ended up spending a year in the XFL, and kind of, again, it took him a couple of years to catch on. Now look at the success he's having. So I think it's a pretty fair comparison. So Charlie's kind of going through that same process right now. But really all that off the field, all the learning process stuff, I think is valuable, for him. And even he said that, he'll just watch Blake during a game and say, okay, it's first down. What's his process? All right, we're on defense. What's his process? All right, we're on offense. All right, we cross midfield. How many kicks is he getting in the net? Like all that stuff that he's never had to do before. It's not just go out and kick the ball. It sounds, and even little things like in practice, his kickoffs have gotten a lot better. His location's gotten a lot better. And so, I think we'll see down the road after him, being on this practice squad now. I think it'll really pay off for him. Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.